Go to Halda County now, where the sheriff was arrested on Friday on charges of DUI, suspicion of DUI, arrested by, at least pulled over by his own deputy. Savannah Levins from our investigative team looking into this and more, giving us some context behind law enforcement officers and DUI arrests. This is something you've actually looked into before.
Yes, in some ways, this case out of Hall County with the sheriff being arrested for DUI is unprecedented in the sense that I couldn't find any historical records in Georgia of an elected sitting sheriff being charged with driving under the influence. Oh. In other ways, it is very not typical, but not unexpected. We did an investigation back in 2024 that found over a 5-year period in which we analyzed data of DUI arrests of law enforcement officers. There were 290 DUI arrests of officers in Georgia within that 5-year period. Comes out to a little under 60 a year on average. Mm-hmm. And the punishments would vary, the reprimands would vary. Very few of them had their post certifications revoked, which would effectively put them out of law enforcement. Many of them were allowed to continue on with their careers. This is a bit of a different case with a sheriff.
Okay, let's check it out.
Yeah.
You been drinking tonight?
Yes.
Every 39 minutes,
Blah, 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 blah.
someone in the U.S.
Kind of smell the alcohol a little bit.
dies in a drunk driving crash.
You think he crashed?
But what happens when those sworn to serve and protect
I'm a police officer too.
I got friends that work with you all.
are themselves the danger behind the wheel?
He's drunk. That sucks for him.
11 Alive Investigates found in the last 5 years, 290 law enforcement officers were arrested for DUI.
Okay, well, spin around for me. You got the arrest for DUI this time.
Of those, about 30 eventually had their law enforcement certifications revoked.
I'm just calling to let you know
The other 260
I'm in the academy.
were allowed to remain in law enforcement.
I work for DeKalb. I work in law enforcement too.
I think the public has the right to know that the people that are doing this job are held to a high standard.
Chris Harvey is executive director of the Georgia Peace Officer Standards and Training Council, or POST, the agency determining whether to revoke an officer's certification.
This council has taken a basic position that if an officer is involved in a DUI from a POST perspective, they're generally given a chance to accept probation, pay a fine, usually attend some drug or alcohol awareness training, and then continue on with their career.
In Georgia, any additional reprimands are at the discretion of the agency employing them. It was everything from a 5% pay decrease to a demotion to a promotion to moving to a civilian position. How is it possible that there's such a huge difference in how these different agencies are approaching this?
Well, because each agency is autonomous and they have their ability to set their own standards for things.
So how many officers were terminated by their agency following a DUI arrest? 18%.
18%?
18%.
I guess that's why they do it, yeah.
We broke the news to neighbors in Gwinnett that the person who smashed into their mailboxes last year was a deputy driving his patrol car drunk, who then fled the scene.
They didn't stop.
Will you blow into a preliminary breath test?
Absolutely not.
No? Okay.
Come on, guys.
Why is it the agency of their brothers making the decision of what happens to their job?
We're on the same side, man. Told me, hey, look, go the other way.
The fact that, an officer may be involved in DUI is something that really should be looked at, but it's something that people do all the time.
Would it be possible to standardize in some way via the agencies, what punishments are?
Not unless the legislature did something.
I know he was a police officer. There's still a limit on that.
Absolutely.
You know that.
The public trust is paramount. Police officers are not above the law.
We can't be out here getting people DUI and then we do it ourselves.
Interesting.
Yeah, so again, that investigation was from 2024, but certainly applicable today as we discuss now this arrest of an elected sheriff. And again, so in the cases of these officers, the agency would determine whether to fire the person or, again, to do any of these other requirements, they can't do that with a sitting sheriff. You can't fire
Right.
an elected official.
Yeah, if the sheriff had a deputy arrested on suspicion of DUI, he could either let him go there,
Yeah.
watch it play out in court. The sheriff, no doubt, going to have his day in court, but in the meantime, who's he answering to?
Right, and the answer is the state, right? So Post, Chris Harvey, who I interviewed there, is the executive director of Post, the Police Officers Standards Training Council that oversees certifications. He told me that they will investigate the sheriff's arrest just as they would any other officer. They said from their perspective it's no different from the arrest of any other officer. So they'll do their investigation and decide whether to revoke his certification, which in itself would effectively end his law enforcement career. The governor can also get involved and either, and launch an investigation to either suspend the sheriff in the meantime while this criminal case plays out, or fire him, altogether. So I reached out to the governor's office. All they said was, we are aware of the situation. That was the extent of their comment. I also got a call from a lawyer representing the sheriff who said in part that they are essentially confident that as this plays out in court, that more information will come to light. We have that full statement on 11alive.com right now, but sounds like they are going to fight this charge, and they asked that his 40 years of service to the community be taken into consideration.
As you know, you've gone through law enforcement files before. If you get a DUI, it's going to go in your personnel file. You got to wonder how that might affect their ability to move up the ladder a little later on in the department.
Yeah, and it's interesting. It'll be interesting to see what the sheriff does. And I asked his attorney, does he have any plans to resign? Because some might just do that, or retire even. And his attorney told me he doesn't plan to do that at any point right now. But in the investigation, to your point, back in 2024, when we were going through these files, plenty of people who got DUI arrests were promoted within the year.
Interesting.
Yeah. So it really varies, and it'll be interesting to see what plays out here.
We'll be watching what happens with Hall County Sheriff Couch.
Yeah.
Savannah, thank you.
Thank you.